Have you ever met that person? They start a diet on Monday. They buy salad, they buy rice cakes, they buy some weird fat-burning tea they saw on social media, and by Friday night, they're standing in front of the fridge eating peanut butter straight from the jar. Meanwhile, someone else is losing weight, feeling full, keeping their muscle, and somehow not constantly thinking about food. So what's the difference? In many cases, it's protein. Protein isn't just for bodybuilders. It's one of the most powerful tools for fat loss, muscle retention, recovery, and appetite control. Yet most people aren't eating enough. In this video, I'll show you exactly why protein matters, how much you actually need, and some of the biggest mistakes that could be making your fat loss journey much harder than it needs to be. Let's get started. Before we talk about fat loss, let's quickly answer a simple question. What actually is protein? Protein is made up of amino acids. Think of amino acids as tiny building blocks. Your body uses these building blocks to create and repair almost everything. Muscles, skin, hair, nails, hormones, enzymes, even parts of your immune system. Out of the 20 amino acids your body uses, 9 are considered essential. That means your body can't produce them on its own. You have to get them from food. And here's something many people don't realize. Your body is constantly breaking down and repealing proteins every single day. You're not the same person biologically that you were yesterday. Your body is continuously repairing and replacing tissues, which means protein isn't something you occasionally need, it's something your body constantly needs. And that's why eating enough protein consistently is so important. Most people hear the word protein and immediately think about muscles. But protein does much more than that. Every time you exercise, tiny amounts of damage occur inside your muscles. That sounds scary, but it's actually how muscles grow stronger. Protein provides the raw materials needed for repair and growth. But muscles are only part of the story. Many important hormones are proteins. Many digestive enzymes are proteins. Even antibodies, which help protect you from infections, are proteins. Protein plays a role in almost every system inside your body. So when people say protein is important, they're actually understating it. Without enough protein, your body simply can't perform many of its most important functions efficiently. That's why protein isn't just a fitness nutrient. It's a health nutrient. Now, let's talk about why protein is so powerful for fat loss. There are 3 major reasons. The first is appetite control. Imagine 2 lunches. One person eats a croissant and a coffee. The other person eats chicken, potatoes, and vegetables. 3 hours later, who do you think is looking for snacks? Most likely the first person. Protein helps reduce hunger hormones while increasing hormones that signal fullness. That's why high-protein meals often keep you satisfied much longer. The second benefit is muscle preservation. When you are in a calorie deficit, your body can lose both fat and muscle. Protein helps protect muscle tissue so that more of the weight you lose comes from fat. And the third benefit is something called the thermic effect of food. In simple terms, your body burns calories digesting food. Protein requires significantly more energy to process than carbohydrates or fats. In fact, around 20 to 30% of protein calories can be used during digestion. No, protein isn't magic, but it gives you several small advantages that work together and make fat loss much easier. Here's one of the biggest mistakes people make. They focus only on losing weight. But weight loss and fat loss are not the same thing. Let's say 2 people both lose 10 kilograms. One loses mostly fat, the other loses fat and a lot of muscle. Who do you think ends up in a better position? Obviously, the person who kept their muscle. Muscle tissue is metabolically active. It burns calories around the clock. Now, let's be honest. Building muscle doesn't suddenly turn you into a calorie-burning furnace, but preserving muscle while dieting is incredibly important. When people lose muscle, their metabolism often drops. They become hungrier, energy levels decrease, and maintaining results becomes harder. Protein helps prevent that. Think of muscle as your body's engine. Protein helps keep that engine running while you're losing fat. Without enough protein, your body may start selling parts of the engine to pay the bills, and that's not a great long-term strategy. So, how much protein should you eat? The official recommendation is around 0.8 grams per kilogram of body weight, but that's simply the minimum needed to avoid deficiency. It's not necessarily optimal. If you're physically active, most research suggests around 1.6 grams per kilogram is a good target. If your goal is fat loss while maintaining muscle, many experts recommend somewhere between 1.6 and 2.2 grams per kilogram. Let's use a practical example. If someone weighs 82 kilograms, a good target might be somewhere between 130 and 180 grams of protein per day. Now, before you panic, no, this doesn't mean carrying a chicken breast in your pocket everywhere you go. It simply means being intentional about your protein intake. And remember, you don't have to hit the perfect number every single day. Consistency matters far more than perfection. Now let's talk about timing. One of the most common questions is, can your body only absorb 30 grams of protein per meal? The answer is more complicated than that. Your body absorbs virtually all the protein you eat. The real question is how much is being used to maximize muscle protein synthesis at one time. Research suggests that spreading protein across the day may be beneficial. Instead of eating almost all your protein at dinner, try distributing it more evenly. For example, protein at breakfast, protein at lunch, protein at dinner, and maybe a protein-rich snack if needed. One common mistake looks something like this: 5 grams at breakfast, 10 grams at lunch, then 90 grams at dinner because you're trying to catch up. Your body would probably prefer a more balanced approach. Aiming for roughly 25 to 40 grams per meal is a simple and effective strategy for most people. Let's talk food, because nobody wants to spend all day calculating amino acids. Some of the best protein sources are also some of the simplest: chicken breast, fish and seafood, eggs, Greek yogurt, cottage cheese, lean beef, and whey protein. These foods provide high-quality protein and contain all the essential amino acids your body needs. Personally, one of my favorite fat loss foods is Greek yogurt. High protein, filling, easy to prepare, and it doesn't require a frying pan, an oven, or a degree in culinary arts. Protein powder can also be useful, not because it's superior, but because it's convenient. Think of protein powder as a tool, not a requirement. You can absolutely meet your protein goals using regular food. Let's quickly cover some common mistakes. The first is simply not eating enough protein. Most people dramatically overestimate how much they're actually consuming. The second mistake is saving nearly all protein for dinner. The third is lowering protein intake on rest days. Recovery doesn't stop just because you're not in the gym. Now let's address one of the biggest myths in nutrition. You've probably heard someone say, high-protein diets damage your kidneys. This myth is like that one guy from high school who keeps showing up at parties even though nobody invited him. Research has repeatedly shown that high-protein diets are safe for healthy individuals. If someone has pre-existing kidney disease, that's a different conversation and should be discussed with a healthcare professional. But for healthy people, higher protein intake is generally not something to fear. Let's finish with a simple comparison. Imagine two people, same age, same weight, same calorie intake. One person eats very little protein. The other prioritizes protein every day. After several weeks, the differences start becoming obvious. The low-protein individual is hungrier. Recovery is worse. Muscle loss is more likely. And sticking to the diet becomes harder. The higher protein individual stays fuller longer, preserves more muscle, recovers better, and often finds the entire fat loss process easier. And that's really the key takeaway. Protein isn't a shortcut. It isn't magic. You still need a calorie deficit. You still need consistency. But if there is one nutrient that can make the journey easier, protein is at the top of the list. If you found this video helpful, consider subscribing for more evidence-based nutrition and fat loss content. And remember, the best diet isn't the one that looks impressive on social media. It's the one you can actually stick to. Thanks for watching. If this video helped you, hit subscribe and join me for more practical nutrition advice with no nonsense and no gimmicks. Until next time, stay consistent and keep moving forward.